this meeting of the Mayor and Council of the City of Frostburg is called to order. Please stand for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together, and the bounty of our nation. We are thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges or provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of the city and all who reside in it. We are thankful for the beauty, the time, and the place that is Frostburg. Amen.
And you may be seated. Mr. O'Brien, if you call roll, please.
Mayor Logsdon.
Present.
Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Forsyth.
Here.
Commissioner Grove.
Here.
Commissioner Richard.
Here.
All right, moving on then to item 5, which is the approval of tonight's agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Any further discussion among council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Agenda for tonight's meeting is approved. Moving on then to item 6. 6A, this is minutes from the January 20th council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January council meeting.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the council meeting of January 20th. Any further comment or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Item 6B, summary of the minutes from the February 10th closed work session.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the closed work session.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the summary of the minutes from the closed work session of February 10th. Any further discussion or comment among council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes of February 10th are approved. Moving on to item 7 on the agenda, which is the department reports. We'll call first on community development, I believe, or finance. Community development, Mr. Miller.
Mayor and Council, Community Development month of January, did 5 permits, certificate of appropriateness, 1 UNO, use and occupancy, 1 burning, 2 building. Rental housing was 460 renewals with totaling 1,188 units collected in the month of January. Code Enforcement Hovatter did 28 inspections of rental units, had 8 code enforcement issues with 2 re-inspections. Boards and commission, there was no historic district commission as there was nothing on the agenda. Planning commission met on January 14th to review the final site plan for the proposed 168,000 square foot vertical converting addition to their existing facility. The final site plan was unanimously approved by the planning commission. Board of Zoning Appeals did not meet due to lack of applications. Green Team met on January 5th to discuss topics included new member recruitment and seat swap, most importantly the Buy Nothing event, which will take place in May. All that should be scheduled on the community calendar. Attended a Green Team meeting, staff meeting, comp plan review meeting, Maryland Historical Trust virtual grant informational session, Department of Housing, Community Development IGX training, and the Mayor and Council meeting. Comp plan rewrite, the last month was held on January 9th. Following items were discussed: existing land use map, development capacity analysis, water resource element, also supplemental survey from Frostburg State, which did not yield a lot of responses. I think they only got 17 responses out of that. Stabilization grant, still working, waiting to hear the finals from the county on that. Townhouse project, we have to submit further pictures to the Maryland Historical Trust. Should take 30 days once that's done for approval. Still working on the record retention, and 76 Unboxed we spoke about briefly at the work session. Historic website provided to Frostburg free of charge for the life of the site. It provides data on the historic properties, also gives owners opportunity to add photos of the property. Many features with the program. Historic Commission approved unanimously. We'll be reading the resolution for that later.
Okay.
Any questions?
1. If you could just talk in as much detail as you know or you can about the conversation or the issue that was had between the city and the fire marshal's office and a potential occupant that tried to occupy the Hamilton building, because I know there was a lot of stuff in town. Rumor mill was going around, so I just want to use this forum to clear that up about what actually happened with that situation.
First thing Monday morning, I don't remember the date, we received a call from the fire marshal's office.
About 3 weeks ago, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks ago. It was Inspector Travis Miller, I believe is his name, called and said he had a report that a church group was using the top of the Hamilton Relay Building. He was inquiring if we had issued a UNO or a temporary UNO. We did not. We made contact to the fire marshal's office, which I spoke to Fire Marshal Reed. They pursued it, told the owner of the building what they needed to do in order to have services there, which would take months, if not a year, due to remodeling, sprinkler requirements, due to an assembly. So at that time, the church was informed of the issue going on. That was reported to us, and again, it was from Travis Miller from the fire marshal's office, who's an inspector. Fire marshal's office handled 99% of that. The only thing we did was made contact and offered the services of our facilities till they found a new home.
Okay, so just to clarify then, the congregation, I guess is the word, did they at any point in time ever come to the city and ask for any kind of permit?
No,
Okay, so,
they did not. The fire marshal's office agreed to let them use it the following Sunday to tell their congregation they had to leave.
okay,
Outside of that, we did not receive anything from the church organization for permit, use, any type of permission.
got it. Thank you. Anything else for Mr. Miller?
I have a question. The planning commission report, the 168,000 square foot vertical converting addition to what existing facility is that?
It's, what's the proper name of the company?
Is it BSI?
Sierra Hydro.
Oh, Sierra Hy-
Over in
okay,
the
that one.
industrial park, yep.
They just keep expanding.
Not sure when it'll take place, but everything's approved. They're getting all
Okay.
their finances together.
Okay,
Yeah, they didn't have an exact date of when they were gonna start
okay,
working.
thanks.
Yeah, it's a huge addition. I think what they say, Adam, 50
It's
jobs.
like double, because they're gonna double the size of it pretty much.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
That's good. Anything else? Mr. Miller, thank you. Next is the Finance Department, Mrs. Phillips.
Good evening. I don't have a whole lot to report on in finance, other than we were busy with budget preparation and wrapping up the audit, which should be finished next week. I
Okay.
spoke with the auditor last week, and me being out sick for a week put everything back a little bit, but we're back on track. We're also working on the budget amendments for mid-year, which we'll have for you guys at next work session in March. Other than that, we're just keeping busy, answering the phones, which ring a lot. We have collected 85% of the real estate tax billings we sent out in July, which is pretty good. And the bills are now past due, so everybody is incurring interest on their bills if they haven't paid yet. Other than that, like always, we just encourage everybody to go on the website, sign up for our e-billing and online payments. And if you have any questions, give us a call at City Hall.
My understanding is that today was the last day to receive applications for hotel motel tax allocation, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how many we got.
I have
because
a
they
list
go to
here.
Patrick. So,
Okay. Anything else?
anything else?
That was easy.
All right, easy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Lindsay, Public Works.
We'll give the monthly report for the Public Works Department. We'll start with Parks and Recreation. Biggest thing going on in Parks and Rec at the moment is the food pantry. It is, for the most part, completely finished at this point. We are waiting on Potomac Edison to set a new power pole. Once that happens, we'll get the building hooked up, finish our rough and electrical, plumbing, and then interior finishes. And then we do anticipate being able to open that building in, we'll call it late spring. It's really dependent on Potomac Edison's calendar. We are beholden to them at this point. The rest of Parks and Rec at this point is just interior rentals and things like that for the community. In the street department, of course, that is sewer, garbage, and roads. The biggest things going on there have obviously been snow removal, salting, snow removal. We did have to place one additional order for salt. We anticipate that order getting us through the rest of the winter, if not having a little bit left over for next year. Of course, we did our Christmas tree pickup, and then we also did our Main Street and Business District snow removal approximately 2.5 weeks ago. Went really well. It took us about 6 hours overnight Always seems to be pretty well received by the public. In the water department, of course, we are still going through the hiring process for our assistant superintendent position. We did promote an internal candidate to superintendent, Ray Richards, and now we are in the final, hopefully, final stretches of hiring a new assistant superintendent. We anticipate bringing that person on probably within the next 2 weeks. We have a rough agreement in hand that we hope to finalize tomorrow. 5 major leaks in the past month in the water department. Of course, there were some smaller ones. 5 major ones of note, though. Typically, whenever we go through these periods of extreme cold to somewhat warm to extreme cold to somewhat warm, we get a lot of expansion and contraction and stuff starts to pop. We're hoping to be out of that by the end of February. Within the public works realm, of course, the biggest things we've been going through in the last month have been the Armory, Bureau of Mines, and Street Department building fire, heat, and smoke detection upgrade. That just finished last week, and we got our first alarm trip on Saturday, so we're working through the kinks there. We are starting our State of Maryland and Federal Environmental Protection Agency NPDES permitting process, which goes into effect in 2027. That is National Pollution Discharge and Elimination System Permit, which is a long way of saying the EPA makes us regulate our storm and sewer systems, and that is a permit process that takes a long time to do that we go into next year. Of course, that goes hand in hand with our State of Maryland Combined Sewer Overflow Consent Decree, which we're also working with the state on now. Those go with the CSO projects themselves, which we'll talk about in a minute. Other than that, it is just project and budget preparation. We are going through our 10-year comp plan with community development at this point. It's an all-encompassing City of Frostburg 10-year comp plan, but Public Works is a large part of that for equipment purchases, construction, things like that. But the bulk of what Public Works Engineering specifically is working on is our upcoming CSO jobs in the Mountain Ridge area, which we'll talk about, the roundabout, and then several other smaller projects. If there's any questions, happy to talk about.
Are we still in budget for solid? I know you said we had to order more.
We will, by the time we get this order, we'll be at budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're good.
Yep.
The big leak that happened on Main Street in front of the post office. I know you said that was kind of a short-term fix, but we're going to have to go back in and look at it again in the summer.
We thought that would be the case. Whenever we were going through it, we were in the process of trying to replace the valve that was there. What we ended up doing was just eliminating that valve and sticking a new piece of pipe in. At the time, we thought that was going to be a temporary fix, but we figured out through some mapping in that area and testing in that area after the fact that we don't need that valve.
Okay.
So that'll be, once we can come back through and pave that, that'll be the final solution.
I see.
But we're not going to dig anything else.
So that valve was redundant.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Thanks, sir.
Cool, thank you.
All right, last one, Chief Costello for the police department.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Good evening. I have the report for the police department for the month of January 2026. We had 552 incidents logged, and that's in the ballpark of January 2025 when we had 437 incidents logged. Going down the list, we had 16 arrests of various sorts. 10 of those were on-view arrests or citations. 4 of those were arrest warrants served or obtained, and 2 were criminal summonses. We had 2 cases referred to or handled by C3I, the Criminal Investigation Unit. We have 48 parking citations, 14 well-being checks, 4 emergency petitions, 13 assist other agencies, 14 requests for a police officer, 11 follow-ups logged, and 23 disturbances. We also had motor vehicle crashes, 6. We had 31 traffic details, 1 DUI arrest, and 51 traffic stops. So I would say pretty ordinary volume or level of police work during the month of January. It was certainly a different month with the extreme chill, so not as many community activities, not as many things outdoors. But we were glad to celebrate the retirement of PCO2 Regina Bennett. Her last day was January 31st, so thank you, Mayor, for being there. Commissioner Grove, we were able to take a picture with her and give her a certificate from the city and a plaque from the police department. She had been with the city upwards of 16 years. She was a retired Navy veteran. She worked with us for a long time, and she's moving on to family things. We're very appreciative of her service and the opportunity to recognize that. We've been doing some traffic enforcement grants from the Maryland Highway Safety Office, and what that is they're generally focused enforcement grants for example, like distracted driving, like cell phone enforcement, or seatbelt enforcement, or speed enforcement. And it's very nice sometimes because our officers on regular patrol have a pretty diverse array of duties to attend to and a number of different interests to try to accommodate. So it's nice sometimes to have that grant money where an officer can be out specifically to address traffic issues. And with regard to the parking, which has been somewhat of a maybe controversial or maybe just working through that topic, as you have requested, we've been enforcing the 2-hour parking. And I think we issued, I meant to have the number with me, I think we issued 14 parking citations for 2-hour or 20-minute parking. And the other tickets you see on there, a lot of them are the overnight parking for the snow clearance and that. So that would conclude my report, a little lighter for January, but a bit less activity during that very cold period. And I'm certainly glad to answer any questions or elaborate further.
2 quick comments.
Yes,
You
sir.
so you mentioned that PCO Bennett had retired. We hired somebody new in dispatch. Can you maybe talk about
Yes,
that?
sir, absolutely. So we hired a new dispatcher named Marnie Stallings. She had a long employment before for about 20 years, and she worked in the state prison system. And actually in her position there, she had a lot of experience very similar to dispatching or police communications operating. So she's done a great job. She is now on her own, I think. She was training under her PCOs, under PCO Clark and her more experienced folks. So she's done very nicely.
Okay. And then one final thing, and
Yes, sir.
I communicated this to you earlier, but I realized afterwards that I think I sent it to your personal cell phone instead of your email. I was notified today by someone in the public that one of our cruisers was spotted in Hyman, Pennsylvania, and I just want to know if you can find out. You don't have to tell me right now, but one of our
Sure.
city cruisers was spotted in Hyman, PA, and if you could just find out what they were doing there, if it was legitimate,
Yes.
if they were on
Sure.
duty, which I'm sure they were,
Yes.
just
yep,
so I can
absolutely.
answer that person and tell them that
Yep,
they're not just out
absolutely.
there running around.
Yeah, no, absolutely, totally, yes. I would preliminarily think that is connected to the take-home vehicle policy. I'm not sure that it has a written geographic distance yet, but that's something we talked about and have to
Okay.
review with you, I think, what
Okay.
those limitations would be. That may be what it is, I don't know
That's
for
fine.
sure, but.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
just offline can be fine. Just,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else for Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
All right, I believe that's all the department reports. I would entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the reports of the city departments.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to accept the monthly reports of the various city departments. Any further discussion on council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Monthly city department reports are approved. Item 7B, this is more just an announcement. We made the decision at the work session last week. In the month of June, the regular council meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, June 16th, is going to be moved to Thursday, June the 18th, because 3 of us will be at the MML convention, the summer convention, and out of town. So we moved it from Tuesday to Thursday that week, so we're just putting it on the record. So there's plenty of notice for that. All right, moving on then to the CSO hearing, item 8.
So this is the February of 2026 monthly public hearing for the CSO, or Combined Sewer Overflow Projects, going on within the city of Frostburg. Just a few quick updates, really the same as last month. Phase 10B and 10C are still on track to start this spring. That is the area between Mountain Ridge High School, Green Street, Main Street, and McCullough. It is a 2-part project, but both of those parts will be going on simultaneously. We will stagger them in such a way so that if traffic is on Washington Street, the work will be happening on McCullough and vice versa, so traffic will still move through the area. The big thing that we like to talk about, this will be the 13th month of reporting on this, and I'd just like to be very clear about this in these public meetings, is that McCullough Street, Cemetery Lane, and Washington Street will all receive sidewalks as a part of those projects. The sidewalks were existing along Washington Street. We are just bringing them back to the surface. The sidewalk for McCullough is a new addition. The sidewalk for Cemetery Lane is a new addition. They are happening in City of Frostburg public right-of-way, but it is going to look like we are just adding new sidewalks. I like to provide the chance for people to ask questions about that and just for it to be known so it doesn't catch anybody off guard.
Excuse me.
Other than that, that is the extent of the CSO work at this time. Both of those projects are big enough that we don't think it is pertinent to pursue another one for at least a year and a half. So right now it's 10B, 10C. If there's any questions, I'm happy to elaborate.
That'll be good for kids walking down to the,
Absolutely.
that, East End Park.
That was a major concept for this project was pedestrian safety and walkability in that area.
Yeah.
So,
And I've said before too, Washington Street at 3 in the afternoon, that is the
Yeah.
busiest street in town.
big time,
Absolute vehicular traffic and also pedestrian traffic.
big time.
So yeah, that's a good addition.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, sir. All right, moving on then to item 8B. This is the required public hearing for ordinance 2026-02. Mr. Miller.
Ordinance number 2026-02. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Frostburg, Maryland, entitled an ordinance to repeal and reenact sections 4.01 and 4.02 of Appendix D of the city code, the rental housing code, pertaining to rental housing standards and fire safety. Whereas the city's rental housing code, ordinance is included in the city code as Appendix D. Whereas Section 4.02 of the rental housing ordinance set forth fire safety standards applicable to rental housing, including a requirement that all smoke detectors be interconnected. Whereas the mayor and city council have determined that verifying proper fire and smoke separation assemblies in rental properties with adjoining rental units is impractical. Whereas the rental housing ordinance needs to be updated to reflect state law requirements pertaining to carbon monoxide alarms. See Subtitle 11 of Title 12 of the Public Safety Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Whereas the mayor and city council are enacting this ordinance to modify the interconnection requirements and update provisions pertaining to carbon monoxide alarms in Appendix D of the city code. Now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained by the mayor and city council of Frostburg, Maryland, that Section 4.01 and 4.02 of Appendix D of the City Code are repealed and reenacted to read as it set forth in Exhibit A attached here to. Section 2, be it further ordained that any person found guilty of violating Section 4.02D of the Rental Housing Ordinance, tampering with life safety devices, shall be subject to a fine of $1,000. The schedule of fines for municipal infractions, presently Section 2-12 of the City Code, shall be amended accordingly.
Okay. All right, so if you could maybe just do a little further detail about
You want to bring that highlighted for
the history of how we got here before we open it to public comment.
No, I got you. All right, Code Enforcement Hobbatter brought to the attention of the mayor and council and the community development department. Currently in the fire safety code, it stated all rental units shall at least one UL approved AC powered smoke detector with a battery backup installed on each floor of a dwelling, including basement levels, which he stated they did. Smoke detectors are being installed within 6 inches of ceilings if mounted on the wall. Where on number 2 is where Code Enforcement Hobbatter stated that previous inspectors was not inspecting to the city code, and we needed to determine a correction to the problem. All smoke detectors within a rental unit must be interconnected so that all detectors within the unit sound if any of them are activated. And then adjoining rental units in a rental property not furnished with an approved fire and smoke separation assembly shall be required to interconnect smoke detectors between units. Code Enforcement Hobbatter cannot pass a fair amount of inspections due to that code. So it's presented, a couple options presented to the mayor and city council. They come up with this. We fell back to the IPMC 2012 code, which is handled by many municipalities all over the country. That's what we'll be following. And in this exhibit, you'll find it states the fire and safety measures in this section are in addition to fire safety requirements of the IPMC code. Section 704.2 and 704.3. So these are on top of what's in the IPMC 2012.
Got it. All right, this is the required public hearing for this ordinance. I will call on, there's only one person that signed up to speak. I'll call on Chief Davis to come forward.
All right. Few questions that, number one, the fire department was never even asked about whether this was gonna happen. So kind of a shock that we find out basically on the street that this was happening. Kind of shows lack of cooperation for sure. This is a significant event that is changing. My first question is, why are we doing the change? Because of what? What's
Because of, for,
why the change from where we are now?
So, one of the requirements in the current code says that if there is not an official fire separation between units, that the smoke detectors would need to be interconnected. When we took inspection in-house, and Mr. Hovatter started looking at that, he realized that there really is no good way for him to be able to confirm that there's fire separation, mainly because a lot of that's interior to the wall. Also, even if it looks like there was one, or there were plans for one, or originally had one, if at any point somebody puts a hole through that wall, the fire separation is no longer valid. So because he couldn't base that concept off of what he can view in an inspection, it would either be that he would have to say that none of them have them, or the majority of them don't have them, even if the tenant or the owner had put in the effort to have one there. So the wording was just bad as far as how we could proceed forward with actually doing that inspection.
To answer your question also, so however many years ago it was, and I don't want to quote the date and get it wrong, but however many years ago it was before this IPMC standard was adopted by the city, and when the rental housing program was first created, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, was that there wasn't one central location for all the regulations for what rental housing should be. So we adopted this IPMC many years ago to clean that up. And when they did that, they deleted sections out of the code, whatever, that applied to that, so that they could adopt the IPMC. This particular section was never deleted or taken out, whether through an oversight or whatever it was, but for the 12 years, 10 to 12 years, that rental housing inspections were done by a third party, which it was up until July of last year. The regulation, the way that it's written now, was not enforced because the third-party inspectors that were doing the housing inspections understood it to mean that they had to meet the IPMC standard, which they do, but this other standard that was on top of that was overlooked by third-party rental housing inspectors for many years. So we bring the rental housing inspection in-house in July. Jay starts doing inspections, starts reading the code, and says, okay, well, this is something else that's not been followed, so 75% of the rental units in Frostburg all of a sudden are failing the rental inspections because they're being held to this standard, when for the last 10 years we've passed them on the same standard. So the thought is this line was supposed to have been moved when we went to the IPMC anyway.
So it's my opinion, or my interpretation, basically you are lessening the restrictions for the smoke detectors in the city of Frostburg, is that correct?
I mean, you can say yes and no. I mean, we're still saying that there's gotta be a smoke detector in the bedrooms, but we're saying it can be battery operated. If they're not, if you're just putting a smoke detector in the bedroom, not doing any remodeling, it can be battery operated. If somebody's gonna go in and do some remodeling, yes, everything does have to be.
Okay, let's go to the city administrator's perfect example. He said someone punches a hole through the wall. So what happens to fire, smoke, and carbon monoxide when that happens?
Right.
Sure.
So, but now you're not having them interconnected, so there's no alarm going off in the neighboring facility early enough to possibly warn the people on the other side. Am I correct?
Yes, but I believe what the mayor's point was is that most of the rentals had never done that. So that interconnectivity.
But you had the policy, is that correct?
Yes. When it was external, we did not realize that the external inspectors were inspecting the fire code based on IPMC, not the added ones that were in there from our previous code. So we had two options. One, push everybody to make those changes in the next 6 to 7 months or so, or to go to the standard IPMC language. And IPMC is a nationally recognized standard for rental housing, which is why we went there.
So basically, we are going to a lesser, in a certain aspect, there's going to be no interconnection to the duplexes, a place that's been chopped up and has 4 apartments in a big building. So there'll be an alarm here, the person on the other side will never even know till the smoke alarm goes off in their building, correct?
That is possible until they do a renovation, in which point they would have to put the hardwired alarms in and interconnect it if required.
All right. On page 4 of the ordinance, just something that caught my eye as soon as I read it, on the, under smoke alarms, 4-02A smoke alarms. All rental units should have at least one UL approved AC smoke detector, blah, blah, blah. You get to number 2, and on the second page, there is no mention of UL. You could be buying smoke detectors from God knows where off the internet and putting them up that have never been certified, according to this, because it doesn't say they have to be UL certified.
It does under number 1.
Yes, but it says on the additional units, it doesn't say anything about they have to be UL certified. You know, he says at least one detector has to be UL certified. If you read the rest of it, there's no requirement for UL certification for those. Am I correct?
I don't see it there.
I mean, I don't see any other specific mention of UL.
That's what I'm saying. So someone could be buying the cheapest things off the internet that who knows if they've ever been tested anywhere from China, Japan, whoever makes them and sends them here. They've never been tested to any standard that we know of. And I've only looked at this thing for a little bit because we just found out about all this. So that jumps out at me as a huge problem that's not in there, that they need to be UL certified. Basically, one of them has to be, and after that, you can put anything in the world you want up in there.
Oh, I think that's something that can be added.
Well, and I'm sorry, I'm reading the IPMC code. It may be not in there because it was listed in the IPMC code, and I just want to double check that.
I'm just gonna buy what paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
The ordinance.
yeah, our code is now what's in the IPMC along with the section that the ordinance is putting in there. So it's the two of them together, so it may be that it wasn't referenced in one because it was in the other. But I haven't caught it yet, so I may be wrong.
Does the ordinance reference the IPMC code?
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. All right, well,
So
I agree, I mean, I agree with that, but the second part that you're saying, we probably do need to add that UL language to make sure that it's,
Right,
Yeah.
because someone could buy anything and stick up, and then you can't say no because, you know, he says one UL required, and that's a huge problem.
okay.
Just a quick question, because there
Yep.
are like a gazillion fire alarms over. But like, is it like something you can actually see? Like, I mean, first alert and everything. I'm sure they're all.
Yeah, almost
Is
all.
it something that's like on the outside?
Like, is
Yeah,
there
it
standards
says
that-
UL
Oh,
one,
okay.
but I'm saying someone could buy them on the internet,
Yeah,
and
sure.
they could come from anywhere,
Right.
and we'd never know if they were tested or not.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was something like the
Yeah,
inspector could
it's-
see like right by just looking at it.
Yeah, if you turn them over, it'll have UL
Okay.
rate, it'll have the numbers and all that it was tested, so. But with that, you could buy one good one or one UL one, and the rest of them could be anything, so. Our biggest concern is the smoke and fire separation in the fire where you got, we've got so many large houses that are chopped up to the 10th degree. And where we usually find stairs, it's now a closet and stuff because they blocked them off to make it a huge, or multiple apartments. And without the notification, that puts us behind the 8 ball searching for people. most of the fatal fires that I've ever been to have been in rental properties in Cumberland and here. So the last ones that I can remember that was not in a rental property was over on Water Street, the two elderly people that died over there. So, like I said, it's just sad that we weren't contacted, and it's it seems like there's some problems with it still that need to be looked at. That's all I have for that, but just real quick, the thing with the church, I mean, that's something that should have been forwarded to the fire department. There you've got a congregation in a building that's not equipped for it, and we should have been notified that that was being done, because that is a huge life safety concern, because that building wasn't designed to hold a lot of people.
Right.
And we should have been at least forwarded or gotten an email that said, hey, this place is being occupied, especially when you knew it was going to be for the next week.
Well, we didn't know that until after the fact.
Okay.
We didn't know that they had met the complaint that was registered to the fire marshal's office that, hey, there's been an assembly here. We did not know about that until Monday morning, so it
Okay.
was already done.
Okay.
And
We did know that they were given the opportunity to stay there on Sunday,
Right.
but I thought the fire marshal's office would have contacted you.
No.
So that's my fault. Okay.
So, I mean, again, that's back to the, basically the open dialogue that seems to be lacking with this coming out of nowhere, us not being contacted for input, the thing with the church, it just seems like a theme. So, that's all I have.
Chief, just so you know, and
Yep.
looking at the IBMC, that's 704.1,
Yep.
Control fire or any combination shall be maintained in operable condition in accordance to the IFC. I believe the IFC says that all smoke detectors have to be listed as UL. I will double check that though, so I think, and I know that codes can get a little down the rabbit hole.
Whatever you want them to be, unfortunately.
Well, they should be UL certified.
well, and that last thing that you said, Chief, that's kind of indicative of where this came from in the first place. I mean, for the last 12 years, this was technically in the city code, but it was understood by our inspectors to mean something else, so they weren't doing it anyway. And then for 12 years, we've been telling all these rental properties, all these landlords in town, okay, yeah, you're good, you meet the thing, and then all of a sudden, we're interpreting the exact same code in a different way. 75% of the rentals are all of a sudden out of compliance through something that was not anything they did.
Intended, but still, you're weakening the system, in my opinion, but that's
Okay.
my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this ordinance? We'll save council comment till it comes up under old business, or new business or old business. All right, that concludes the public hearing for ordinance 2026-02. Moving on to old business, we will recall from the table ordinance 2026-01. Mr. Miller.
Ordinance 2026-01. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Frostburg entitled an ordinance to amend the city zoning ordinance by adding the artisan small-scale manufacturing land use as a special exception use in all residential districts, and changing the classification of that use from a special exception use permitted use in all commercial districts. No, I was stopping.
Yeah.
After the meeting, we highlighted the area that the suggestion would be to remove the special exception for residential districts. Leave it for permitted use in commercial districts.
So the proposal is to amend ordinance 2026-01 to delete all references to special use in residential districts and allow the permitted use in the commercial districts. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
I move we approve ordinance 2026, the amended ordinance 2026-02.
Second.
It's been duly moved and seconded to amend ordinance 2026-01, and in so doing, we will set March 17th as the public hearing date for the amended ordinance. Is there any further comment or discussion among council?
I need to amend my, because I said to 02.
Yeah.
So I amend my proposal that we approve ordinance 2026-01 as amended.
Kevin, you're okay with that too?
Yes.
Okay. So amending the original motion, it will amend ordinance 2026-01 to delete all references to special exception uses of this kind in all residential zoning districts, and it will allow it as a permitted use in the referenced commercial districts. So we will amend it as such, and set March 17th as the public hearing date for the amended ordinance. Any further discussion among council on that? Any comment or discussion among the public on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, ordinance 2026-01 is amended, and March 17th will be set as the public hearing date for that. Okay, now on to continuing, ordinance 2026-02. This is the one we just had the
Yeah.
public hearing on.
Yes.
Do we need to first do the motion and then
Yes, motion first and then comment.
you do
Do
the
we
motion?
need to amend it? So, do we need to look and make sure that it has the UL stuff in?
If you'd like, we can.
Yeah, that's probably just
on the table.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to table ordinance 2026-02.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to table ordinance 2026-02 pending further discussion and amendment. Here, discussion on that. Okay. Public comment on that. We're tabling the motion. All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, we will table that then until a further meeting pending further discussion. Chief, be by your phone.
I will be.
Okay.
Let me know when.
Okay.
We'll
Let's
bring
see.
it up at work session.
Yes, if you put March 10th on your calendar, that'll be our work session. Okay. March 10th at 4 o'clock. Okay, that concludes old business. Moving on then to new business, item 10A, resolution 2026-02.
Resolution 2026-02, a resolution of the City of Frostburg, a municipal corporation of the state of Maryland, approving an agreement with JMA Resources Incorporated for the use of their 76 Unbox software. Whereas the City of Frostburg has identified a historic district established to preserve and protect the architectural, cultural, and historical character of the community, and whereas the City of Frostburg has numerous properties with historic significance in and outside the historic district, and whereas the Mayor and City Council of Frostburg have established a Historic District Commission to review alterations, construction, demolition, and related activities affecting properties in the historic district, and to advise the Mayor and City Council on historic preservation efforts, and whereas JMA Resources Incorporated reached out to the City of Frostburg to be part of a software test group for its soon-to-be-launched historic district software known as 76 Unboxed. And whereas JMA Resources Incorporated has offered the City of Frostburg free perpetual use of the software for providing feedback during the test phase. And whereas the community development staff have reviewed the software and presented it to the Historic District Commission at their February meeting, where it received a unanimous vote used by the commission. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of Frostburg, Maryland hereby approve entering into an agreement with JMA Resources Incorporated for the free use of their 76 Unboxed software in exchange for feedback from the city after the final review and approval of the agreement by the city attorney, and be it further resolved that the city administrator is authorized to execute any necessary agreements, subscriptions, or related documents required for the use of said software. Adopted this 17th day of February 2026.
Okay. All right. So this is a neat program. Can we talk about it a little bit?
You don't have them on there. No. All right. JMA Resources reached out to the City of Frostburg. Lane was a former city administrator in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. He now works for JMA Resources. They're a company that designs software for the Department of Defense. They reached out to the City of Frostburg because one of the staff members' mother attended school at Frostburg State University. She recommended Frostburg as a site to launch the program off of and be used as a test site. So it would be Frostburg and Mechanicsburg from March 1st till June 1st when the site goes fully public. It's what we're referring to sort of a historic build book instead of historic Facebook. Homeowners will be able to post pictures of their homes on the site. It's going to be controlled by city staff. On the posts will be monitored. They'll also have folks doing it. They're going to come down and take pictures. They're gonna take pictures from the front, the two sides, and start building the program out. They'll all have timelines on them, when it was built, whatever information we can gather and input in it. The historic district's gonna help out, I believe, Mayor, who's gonna talk to the Frostburg Museum as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think was something to get information on these structures. And, once it rolls out, their hope is they can interconnect with other communities, maybe find buildings that was built at the same time, and conversation pieces and how people upgraded their historic property.
What's the best part?
It's free. It's free for life.
Because we've agreed to be the guinea pig.
Yes.
They're gonna work out all the bugs on the website for us, so they've agreed to give us free access to it for the life of the program.
And then the idea also is to have virtual tours of the various historic buildings. And a lot of people who are really into historic buildings will then want to come to see them in person, so it could also draw traffic to town. And then it will encourage communication, not only amongst, people who own historic homes in town, but also, other people, in other towns, where do I find this kind of finial, or whatever. So it's going to encourage that kind of conversation, and who knows what else.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of opportunities, so hopefully it takes off good.
That's the gist of it. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-2.
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2026-02. Any further comment or discussion among council on that? Any comment or discussion among the public present on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2026-02 is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Miller. That concludes new business. Moving on to item 11 on the agenda, which is open public comments. This is a time for folks to come forward and offer any comment or suggestions or whatever they need to talk about here at the meeting. I'll call first on Mark Witt.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
If anyone's not aware, I'm representing Giuseppe's in Frostburg. My wife and I have owned Giuseppe's since the end of 2011, in 2012. So, and I started there in 1994. So, come April, I will have been there for 33 years. In the last, 3 to 5 years, the water issue coming at us, coming through Mechanic Street, has been a real problem. I have video after video after video of evidence of this water that just comes from nowhere. There's multiple people on the other side of my business that have complained about it as well. Like, what changed? At what point, what changed? I don't know. All I do know is this. We have always had water in our basement. Always. I always have spring runoff, and when I say spring runoff, I don't mean from a water spring. I mean winter runoff. I mean heavy rain runoff. There's actually pipes in my basement that allow for that to happen. I have a sump pump. So when we have heavy rains, sure. When it gets into the groundwater, sure, we have runoff. Probably like early in, I can't exactly say, but on or about like 1.4 to 1.6, I started having some severe water come through my basement. Not in an area that I've ever had it before, a brand new, entirely new area. I let it run its course for a day or two, 3 days, just to see if it's going to change. Never changed. So I thought I need to call the city about this. I need to call the people that I thought would kind of give me some insight to this. So I called Hayden. I believe that's his department, right?
Correct.
On the 8th, I left two phone calls that day. Didn't receive a phone call back. I called on the 9th, 2 phone calls. Didn't receive a phone call back. Called at the beginning of the week. Nothing. On the 8th, my first call back was from the 14th of January. Not from Hayden, from Emily. And again, I'm just trying to put stuff on the record right now. So I'm not sure where we are on this at this point, February 17th, 18th, whatever today is. But to this date, I have yet to have a conversation with Hayden about my situation at the restaurant. So it's starting to get frustrating, and it started to get frustrated a while ago. So if that comes out, I apologize. So long story short is we've had some water testing done. And every step of the way, I have just felt that there has not been any transparency about this situation at my place. And I'm a business. We're almost a 50-year-old business. And Donna, you can attest to this. You know it's hard to run a business in Frostburg. It just is. It takes me 7 days a week to be there and baby that place to try to make it run. And when you're having a problem and it's something I can't handle, I want to reach out to the city. I want to reach out to where I'm paying my taxes. And I want to see those dollars put to work. So we've had some testing done, but I'm not sure what that is, even if it's going to answer anything. At this point, since that day, we've had water running every 21 seconds. 5 gallons of water. Now, I want you to do the math on that. That's a lot. 5 gallons every 21 seconds. You can set your clock to it. In fact, I brought the city administrator down, and I made you stand there. Is that correct? Yeah. Said, look at this. Let's set our clocks here. Every 21 seconds. Okay? So, again, I just want to put some things on the record. Let me see here. So, you know, I wasn't getting anything from Hayden. I'm not sure why. I'd like to try to figure that out at some point. Why? I'd like to at least have an answer for that. But I wasn't getting anything done. So I finally had to go to the city administrator and say, please come down here. At some point, I'm just going to kind of give you some things here. I was told by the city administrator that they scoped the lines. I said, what did you scope? We scoped up Mechanic. We scoped up Bowery. We scoped down Bowery. So I'm not sure why we scoped down Bowery. That's not where the problem, because all water comes from up the road. Next thing I know, he's bringing me a map. This map, which I'm not sure if this is the city's mapping software. This to me looks like Google Earth, and maybe that's what we're using in 2026 is Google Earth to map out our city's water lines, sewer lines, storm drainage. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just, you know, this is what I was brought. And on that day, they actually drew on pen, there's actually 2 water lines because the city administrator told me there was no utilities running up through Mechanic Street. But then he said, oh, there's actually 2 water lines that run down to 2 houses. I actually own one of the water lines. I said, there's no sewer running down through there? Nope. And I'm thinking, well, I own one of those homes. I know for sure that my sewer's not running up the hill because it would take a grinder pump to do that. And I said, you're telling me there's nothing coming down through there? Nope, nothing. Where are we getting this information? According to the city administrator, he's getting this from Hayden. So now they're telling me that there might be some infrastructure going down through there. There's a huge manhole there. I would think that there's something in that manhole, but I'm not sure what, because I can't get any answers here. So all I'm asking is I'm at a loss here. Like, I have water pouring through my basement. Before I left the restaurant, I called my neighbor just to say, hey, McKenna, quick question. You getting water in your basement? For like the last month, she said, easily. Like, it's just flowing through her. So we have a problem, folks. We have a problem down at my restaurant. And I need help from the city. And so I'm asking the city administrator, I just don't know what to do, but I feel like at every step, I'm being poo-pooed. Like, and if I just back off, that the problem will go away. Well, the problem's not going away. And so I'm just trying to figure out, can I get some help? Or do I need to take and like, do I need to get my lawyer involved? Do I need to seek legal counsel to push the city to get some answers? Because I assure you, if there was a water leak, if you had water coming into this building, you have the resources to figure out where that water is coming from. So that's where I am today. I just want to put things on the record. I'm not sure if people are even talking. And I have to be honest with you, I just don't trust the system at this point. Because I felt that I have not been transparent with Hayden, because I haven't even had a conversation with him. I feel like the city administrator hasn't been transparent. And so you start to wonder, like, what's going on here? Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but should I be? You know, that's all I need to say. So I'm just asking for help. So you have my email addresses. You have my phone numbers. please reach out, and I'm open for, questions if you have questions for me.
I do have one question. You said that somebody, and you didn't specify who, so I don't know if it was a city employee or if it was somebody else, but you said that somebody was there and tested your water for something.
So Emily came down the first time.
Okay.
She brought Ray.
Okay.
Ray came in, grabbed one sample, took it outside, he dropped the sample. Came back in, got a second sample. That was the first time. Second time, a couple weeks ago, Ray came again. And so at that point, I said to Ray, I think the best way to do this would be to take 3 samples. Take a sample from where my normal runoff comes in. Take a sample it's literally like a water fountain. It looks like when you go to high school, when you push the button, and when you the water comes up, but it's not quite, and you don't want to put your mouth on it, that's what it's doing. It's something's going on. And so I said, I would take a sample from my original source, I would take a sample from this source, and I would take a sample of my tap water. Take 3 blind samples, and let's see what the results produce. You know what I mean? And then let's come back and say, oh yes, this is clearly tap water. And just because it comes back as it's not city water, we don't think it's city water, doesn't address the problem that it's not a city problem. It doesn't speak to that. So I'm trying to figure out, how do we speak to that? That's what I need to get at. I was having the same problem on 139 East Mechanic. That's the house that I own. That's adjacent to the restaurant. And I had Emily down there. I got water coming in here. What is going on? What is going on? But these things that they're producing, this is kind of a joke to me. I mean, really. I don't know. Maybe this is what we're using. But I would feel like in this day and age, we would have better software. Do we? Can I ask? Do we even know what software we use?
I'm not an expert. on
That's
that.
Mark. That's
I asked, excuse me for one second, I asked the city administrator, he said, I don't know. I asked the city administrator where we test the water, I don't know.
No, I didn't mention that was Maryland Environmental Service. I didn't know.
No. You checked. When I originally asked you, on the second testing, I asked you, where are we testing? You tested it once, and then you came down the second. I said, where are we testing? I can't speak to that, you did not know.
No,
You knew today,
You're correct.
prior to this meeting, you sent me an email and said, this is where we are testing. Just today. This problem started back in January, 6 weeks ago. So in fairness, prior to this meeting, you got your ducks in a row, is how I feel.
Yes.
Okay,
It was
thank
not-
you,
it
thank
was-
you.
it was
That's all,
responding.
thank you. Hayden, did you have something to say on that matter?
I just want to talk about. I can answer most of your questions if you'd like to. So, I guess.
Okay, first off, I'm like, why does it take me to come up here to get these questions answered?
So, just to talk about
Answer
that.
that question
Mr.
first,
Witt, please.
So to talk about that, I have a staff. You've been able to get access to Emily. I am not always in my office. I also take vacations. Just because I don't get back to you doesn't mean I'm not working on the issue. I sent staff, both sewer and water, to Giuseppe's twice to do sewer testing, and you said, why would we test down Bowery? We test down Bowery to make sure there's no backups in that sewer line that would back up water into your basement. That's the answer to that question.
Okay, can I ask you a question on that real fast?
Sure.
So who did that?
So that would have been our sewer department.
The
which
sewer department?
They would come and
And they're not related to the water department?
No, they are
Okay.
not. Water department came, took 2 water samples. We
Yes.
test those at Maryland Environmental System, test those at our lab at the water treatment plant. I have no say over that testing. Maryland Environmental Service is a state agency who we contract with, full transparency. We contract with them, but I am not their boss. I don't oversee them. We take samples to them to test. The mapping, just for the sake of transparency, that's ArcGIS. That's a geospatially located mapping system. We give you screenshots because legally I can't give out the entire mapping system for security reasons. Yours looks like a Google map because it's just a few screenshots of ArcGIS, which is a geospatially located mapping system
That's fair.
to show you what's in the area.
That's fair.
To talk about I'm trying to think of all your questions. To talk about the utilities in the area, the water lines that are or would be on Mechanic are service taps. They are not mains. The sewer for that area actually comes down the paper alley above Giuseppe's and onto Bowery. The extent of the storm is the grate that's in your parking lot and a culvert inlet at the top by 7-Eleven, but they divert different directions based on the tunnel. Trying to think of what your other questions were. But Mark, again, I have done everything within my ability to do to figure out your problem. At this point, there is nothing else I can do to help you apart from testing your water, cameraing the lines around your property, giving you my opinion, but I can't legally start digging on your property looking for an issue that I don't know if it's a city issue or not. That's a misappropriation of funds. All I can do is my tests. I can look around. I can give you my opinion, which Emily was doing on my behalf, and give you that information. In the end, I want to be clear too.
But we can, you're saying misappropriations of funds, but
If-
we can start the process somehow of possibly realizing that this could be a much larger issue than just me.
At this point,
like
there's
right
nothing
now,
else I can
the
do.
neighbor beside me is having the same issue.
That doesn't mean, though, that it's coming from the city, just because
I
it's having
understand
the same
that.
issue.
Listen, I do understand.
And I want to be clear. In the instance that for some reason down the road it's our problem, we will correct it. I will pay every penny to correct it.
Okay.
But at this point, with my resources at hand, I have no reason to believe it is our problem, and I can't take it any further.
So I'm just asking, what do you suggest? What do you think I should do? If you are in my shoes, I'm asking, what should I do?
Unfortunately, and please don't take this as gospel, unfortunately the answer is you're probably just going to have to do some digging around your foundations to try and relieve some of that pressure. If it's coming up through the floor, it's groundwater. It's just pressurized groundwater coming through the floor, and the only solution to that, at least the simplest solution to that, is foundation drains around the building to alleviate that pressure. Now you can put them into the storm. If you decide to do that, you can tie them into our storm system. But, you know, until that point, I can't come onto your property and dig. I can't spend money looking around for an issue that might not be ours.
But what if it is yours?
Then
I guess my question is, I just don't understand how we are determining that it's not yours.
So we tested the water. It's not drinking water.
Okay.
I'm quite confident it's not drinking water.
Okay.
We've looked at every sewer and storm in the area. None of them are backed up. And on top of that, even the sewer and storms that are even remotely close to your property are never lying full enough of water to translate to the amount of water coming through your basement. If there was a sewer line above your property that constantly had water coming into it, it was just constantly running, I might think to myself, okay, possibly this water, if it's starting at this manhole and it's flowing at the rate that's coming into Mark's basement, but it's not showing up in this manhole below, chances are that water's getting into his basement. That is not the case. All the manholes within 100 yards of your property are for the most part dry.
Okay, so what if the possibility existed that one of the leaks that you spoke about a while ago, how many did you say you had in December?
5.
5?
5.
Okay. What if one of those main leaks disturbed a system above me? And now we have a problem. And now we have an exposed spring or something.
Then our
Whose fault is that? Right? I know, it's a gray area. Listen, I get it, it's a gray area. And here's the deal. I assure you that Giuseppe's and myself personally cannot afford to start digging around I don't have the resources for it. I just don't. You know what I mean? It's a costly adventure. I asked Ray last week when he was there, he said, we have resources.
which we've exhausted. on
He
Giuseppe's.
said we have resources to locate water.
Yes, that's a leak detection system that we do every 2 years. We did it last year. It won't be done again for another year. We are talking about it in the budget discussion to do
Okay.
this year. But in that instance, if it was a leak where if one of these leaks caused something else to shake loose, the tests we did twice would have showed up that it was drinking water. Even if it shook something loose in the ground, all of the leaks that have happened, the past 5 leaks that have happened in the area, have not been in the vicinity of Giuseppe's.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it does.
Well, I spoke to, I called on a Friday night about a leak, right?
Mhm.
And I got, basically, you guys weren't happy because it was Friday night and I was calling the police department. Remember? And nobody, it was Halloween night. It was Halloween night, and I'm sure it was
Well,
Halloween night.
because our guys aren't in the office on Friday nights.
Correct.
So we
But I
recommend
am.
calling dispatch.
And I was cooking food for Friday night, and we were catering an event the next day for 200 people, and I was trying to get business done. and all my water, it's a liability to me to like, should I close the restaurant, should I not? I could not get an answer. I just want, is there a leak? Is there a leak? Is there a leak? Is there a leak?
I think
Finally,
we
you
spoke on the
admitted,
phone that night, right?
yes, you did.
Yeah.
Because I was flipping out because I'm like, I just want somebody to talk to me because I'm at Weiss buying water. The Almaya's over there buying water. They have 2 or 3 shopping carts full of water. I'm spending money to buy water. I'm already paying enough water from you guys.
If it makes you feel better, Mark, I don't work Fridays. I took your call just in the instance of
Doesn't
trying
matter.
to help you.
I understand that.
I just don't want you to think that we have anything against you. We are not taking things
That's
out against
fine.
you.
That's
We are trying to help you.
That's fine.
We have
and I got my
tried.
question answered. Like, what do you do on a Friday night? You know what I mean? City administrator told me. I asked them point blank, what do I do if an emergency occurs on a weekend? Which is
Dispatch.
primarily, huh?
Call dispatch.
Yes. And you told me that, but you told me stop calling the cops.
I don't think I told you that.
You
Mark.
did.
I
You
would have
said,
told you to
Mark,
call
you need to stop
dispatch.
calling the cops about this. That's when you called me back.
Okay.
That's where my frustration really, really started with you, Hayden, honestly. Like, that's what you told me. You poo-pooed it. You know what I mean? And I get it, dude. I get it. It's your Friday night. You're probably, trick-or-treating. Who knows? I don't know. I
Chances
was
are we're
working.
working.
I'm trying to run a business. A tax-paying business in Frostburg. And I'm trying to get answers.
Mr. Witt.
I want to clarify that I said not to call our officers directly because you were calling Officer Delaney directly. So I told you, please don't do that. I told you call
I don't
dispatch.
recall
I want to clarify that for the record.
I don't recall that.
I
I
do.
recall calling the station.
Mr. Witt, is there anything else as far as a question that you have or anything that hasn't been addressed yet? Maybe we can get back on
Well,
topic.
I guess my only question is there anything else or what direction can I take this in? I'm asking the city.
So I'm going to defer then to the city engineer and the director of public works, who I think has already given an answer, but if you'd like to reiterate.
Mark, at this point, we have exhausted our resources. My recommendation to you would be to bring in a contractor, get a quote for what it would take, and just see what a contractor would tell you for, here's the exploratory work we would do to find out what your problem would be.
Sure. Okay, so can you give me recommendations on a contractor that would speak directly to water?
Yeah, I can give you several. I'm not going to do that in a public setting. I don't know if I can legally do that. But I'm
As soon as
happy
the
to
meeting's
email you
over,
something.
I'm fine with that. I'm
Yeah.
fine with even with an email. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, we have
Do
several.
that.
So.
Certainly.
I don't know if I can advertise in a public meeting.
But certainly, we will follow up. Yes, I will have Hayden directly follow up with you in an email by tomorrow morning.
By tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Okay.
And Mark, one thing too, if you dig into this and you find, we find out that it is our, one of our sources or something like that, we will reimburse you.
Yeah. And I'll attest to the same thing.
Okay. Additionally, you mentioned that some neighbors were having water issues as well.
Correct.
I haven't heard from any of them. If they are having issues, if they could reach out so that we understand what's going on in the area, that would be useful. I will. I just spoke to her today. And I know that, again, that they've had issues in the last couple of years. It has gotten progressively worse where we live and where we try to do business. And like, she has multiple sump pumps at this point, but now her sump pumps aren't keeping up either.
I
So,
know that there are a lot of houses in
What house
Frostburg
is that?
that have water flowing through their basements. Some of them have like a whole, like a little ditch dug through their basement so it can go in and then out. So I think that's a historical problem.
so my question is, if I dig another sump pump, what do I do with that? I just dump it back out on the street?
No, we can connect it to our system,
Yeah, we can-
the storm system.
You can tie it into the
So
storm
who's
system.
doing that? At what cost?
You would make the plumbing connections to the outside. We would put in the tap to the sewer system, so we would meet you approximately halfway.
Well, then we need to have that discussion, because I think, listen, worst case scenario, I'm not gonna start digging up, I have to be honest with you, because I don't think that's gonna cost me anything. I think a reasonable thing for me to do is put a sump pump in, and just go, the water's coming regardless, and just push it and give it right back to you guys. You know what I mean?
We have quite a few people.
But
who
it's
do that.
interesting, because you guys are like, I would love to find the source of the problem, because I would think that you're paying to process all this water, is that true?
It's been said a half dozen times it's not drinking water, so no.
He's
But
talking about sewage.
regardless.
Oh, when
stormwater,
it goes
you're
into sewer,
processing-
I apologize.
you're pro-
Yes,
you're
when it goes
right.
into sewer, yes.
Yes, but you're processing that, right?
Now, we would tie it into the storm system. If it's in the storm system, we don't treat it. That area is separated. So
Okay.
now, if you put it into the sewer, if we determined that it was dense enough or not safe enough to put into the storm system, we would put it into the sewer. We would tie it in. We would tie your sump into the sewer, and then that would be treated. You are correct.
Okay.
But if it just goes into stormwater, it just runs off into the creeks like everywhere else.
But there is a way that you can help me tie into that system.
Yeah,
If I decide
we-
to put another one in.
We do that for everybody.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
That was all that was signed up for public comment, but is there anyone else here who was not able to sign up who'd like to offer public comment on anything? Okay. Seeing nothing, I have 6:40, meeting's adjourned. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's for us.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Back up, Commissioner Forsythe.
I just wanted to say that I was very pleased to represent the mayor and council in the city of Frostburg at the unveiling of the historic road marker for the Dickerson AME Church today. It was just a fantastic celebration of the history there. All the people that came out, like bishops and pastors from all over the area, and when the marker is actually, it was inside the church, but when it's actually at the side of the road there by the church, I encourage everybody to walk by and admire it, and the history that it represents of the African American community in Frostburg.
It was really a great milestone. It was, what, 180 years?
190. 190 years, yeah.
Years as a congregation in Frostburg. Yeah, that's truly a testament to the strength of the African American community.
Yeah, a lot of history there.
Absolutely. Commissioner Grove, anything? Nothing. Commissioner Carter? Nope. Commissioner Ritchie? All right, for real this time. 6:41 meetings adjourned. Yes, ma'am.
Before everybody leaves, I've been diagnosed with throat cancer.
Oh my God.